Then after that, we'll move to the risk evaluation part. So in risk evaluation, we will discuss about the risk evaluation, then identification and ranking of risk, then cost benefit analysis. Then we'll move to the risk profile analysis, and we'll see the approach that is decision tree approach, and then we'll discuss. Lastly, we'll discuss about strategic program management in this lecture. So first of all, coming to the risk part. So as you know that risk is in all scenario risk is there. So either we talk about the in life or we talk about any task which you are going to do or which you are doing basically. So if we define risk, so risk can be defined as a problem that could cause some loss or threaten the progress of the project, but which has not yet happened. So tomorrow's problems are today's risk, basically. So it is better to recognize risk firstly, so that in future the problem should not be there. So that is risk part, and if we identify and we eliminate the risk, then in this case our product will be definitely will have less cost, or as well as timely it will be delivered or it will be maintained. So, if we talk about the classification, so there are three classifications. First one is project risk, so risk involved in project. Second one is technical risk, some technical risk will be there, and third one is business risk. So, if you talk about the management of part of risk, so these are the activities which are involved in risk management. So, risk management will have basically two main activities. First one is risk assessment, and second one is risk control. Means we can either assess the risk or we can control it. So, in the assessment part, there are various processes just like risk identification. So we can identify the risk, we can analyze the risk, or we can prioritize the risk. Means we can provide the priority of the risk. And in case of controlling the risk, uh, there will be risk management planning. So we can plan, we can do planning of risk management. And then second one is risk monitoring. We can monitor the risk or controlling it, as well as we can resolve the risk, that is risk resolution part. Coming to the evaluation of risk, that is risk evaluation. So as I told you, first of all we analyze or we identify the risk, and after that we evaluate how much effect it can be there, if that risk will be there. So it is meant to decide whether the proceed with the project is not, or and whether the project is meeting its objective or not. So evaluation should be there, and this risk basically occurs in some scenario, just like first one, when the project exceeds its original specification. So if your project is exceeding or your specification or whatever the specification you have been made, if it exceed from this, then there will risk occur. Deviation from achieving its objective. So if you deviate from achieving your objectives and goal, whatever you have been made, so there will be a risk. That's why it happens. And so for riskier project, we can use higher discount rates, as you have seen in different example. So we can take or we can have a higher discount rates. So for example, we can add a 2% discount rate more for the same project, and for very risk project we can add or we can take 5% of discount rate. Coming to the identification and ranking part of the risk. So first of all, we will have to identify the risk, as I told you, and then we will provide the priority of the risk. So priority is basically how much it is going to affect to your project. So it could draw a project matrix for each project to assess the risk. So we can make a matrix, that is a risk matrix, and in this risk matrix we can provide the weightage or ranking of the risk. So as you can see in this diagram, so these are the various process or steps where risk are involved, and it is showing the weightage or priority of the risk. So it is having higher priority, higher than medium and lower priority. So we can mention like this in the matrix part, and this one is showing the likelihood that in future these these will be the weightage of the risk. Coming to the cost benefit analysis, so it is the analysis of cost and benefit. So in this case, we basically compare the expected cost by expected benefits. But in this comparison, there are various issues. Just like it's very difficult to estimate the cost as well as the benefit for any project. So for this, we can do or we can use various financial model to evaluate this cost, estimating cost and benefits. So, and these are the steps of cost benefit analysis. So in cost benefit analysis, for this cost benefit analysis, first of all we identify and estimating all the cost and benefits of carrying out from the project and operating the delivered application. So we identify and estimate the cost and benefits. And in second step, we express the cost and benefit in some common units. So in case of cost and benefit analysis, there will be two parts. First one is cost, and then second one is benefit. So in cost category, means cost will involve this development cost to develop a project. There will development cost, then setup cost, that will basically the infrastructure and all hardware basically, and then operational cost will be there. Whereas in case of benefit, the benefit types may be different. You can get benefit direct as well as indirect, as well as in some case intangible benefits will be there. Coming to the risk profile analysis, so in case of risk, we basically do the profile analysis. So this makes use of a risk profile using sensitivity analysis. So in this case, we basically compare the sensitivity of each factor of project profile by verifying parameters which affect the cost, project cost benefit. So here we can basically vary the original estimate of risk in plus or minus. So it depends on the scenario. So we can take 5% plus or minus as it is taken in this example, and then after that we can recalculate the expected cost and benefit accordingly. So as you can see in this figure, x-axis is basically showing the profitability and y-axis is showing the expected profitability, and these are the profit and expected profit of three different projects, P1, P2 and P3. As you can see, P1 basically depart far from P2, which is having a large variation, whereas P3 have much profitable than expected, this one. So we can say that all the projects have the same expected profit. Coming to the next part, that is decision tree approach. So in this case, in case of a decision tree, first of all we identify over risky projects. So whatever the over risky projects are there, we identify it, then we choose the best from this risk or risk projects. Whatever the risk we have been we choose the best risk and then take suitable course of action. So this decision tree basically analysis of this through this helps us to either extending the existing system or replacing the existing system. So either we can go for extension of the existing system, or we can replace the existing system from the new one. So for second approach is very costly as well as time taken. So generally we should go for first one, that is extension of existing system. That will increase the sales as well as it will improve the management information also. So as we can see here, this is the case. So in this case, we can see that in this example, we can see that this is the decision point, and as I told you here, extension or replacement, there are two decision we can say, take. Either we can extend it or we can expand or replace it. And this one is showing the net profit value, and these are the probability basically showing here. So if we go for the calculation of extending system, so we can calculate by multiplying this net profit value with this probability, then plus this net profit value, then probability. So this is the calculation for it. So here we are getting 40,000 rupees. So for the extension, the expected value for extending the system is 40,000. So 40,000 needed. In this case, means in this case, 10,000 will be needed. So therefore, organizations would choose the option of either they wanted to go for extension, or they wanted to go for existing system replacement. So this one is another example. So we can by the same way we can calculate the extension value. Coming to the next part, that is strategic project or program management. So strategic program management is basically the process of thinking about your project in light of their connection to your strategic plan. That means it is the process of thinking about your project with reference to your strategic plan. So whatever the strategic plan you have made in your stepwise process planning and all, we basically compare or link between our project which is going on as well as our objective, strategic objectives. So the premise of strategic management is that projects should actually work to achieve the goal and objective outlined in your strategy. So with the help of this, we can trace out the either we are going to achieve a goals and objective of our project or not. So it's not just about the process of planning, managing big and important projects. It's all about the designing and managing your portfolio of the project to ensure that it supports your strategy or not. By focusing on these points, so first point is the mix of project is appropriate and sufficient to deliver your strategic objective. So and second one is your project are appropriate resourced. So whatever the project is there, it is having a appropriate resource or not. Third one is if timeline and resourcing have to be changed, the project are prioritized accordingly based on the strategic plan. So if there is any change in timeline or resources, then it should be prioritized accordingly based on the plan on the objective which we have been made. So that's all about this part. These are the references. You can refer it. Okay, thank you. Thanks to all for listening.